6. Jesus, 6. I can't believe we made it this far. And I would be shocked if people still listen. Anyways, so, yeah.
You're so hard on yourself, man.
Oh, man, it's what I do. I'm picked on. It's, yeah. Anyways, so we have friends again. Apparently, we have friends, and I know it's amazing. We brought back again Bryant. How's it going, dude?
What's going on?
Oh, just drinking some water and yeah.
Well, I got some Oktoberfest, so I got you on that front there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm old. I can't drink beer. I have work in the morning.
So do I.
And we have another guest. It's actually mine and Liam's cousin. He is on Game Genies, which is another gaming podcast. And they're funny as poop. And Beer City Spaceship, which is... I don't even know how to describe it. It's everything. Everything you could hope for. Ryan, how's it going, dude? I think we lost Ryan. He's dead.
I think we did too.
Like, screw these guys. I don't want to talk to them.
These douchebags, suck.
He'll probably try to jump back in mid-call or something.
It is what it is.
At the end.
Hey, guys! Oh, I had some crazy lag.
Classic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he gets on, he'll get on. That's cool. So, big gaming stuff happened today. Anybody who has a PlayStation 4, you probably tried to log on today and got yourself the 2.0 update and could not sign into PSN at all. Now, with this update, we obviously saw a whole lot of cool stuff happen. Well, we perceived to be really cool anyways. And so my brother and we decided to kind of check out what I think the biggest buzz was SharePlay. I don't know really how to describe SharePlay except for disappointment. We gave it a shot and it just was not like what we wanted at all. So what do you think about it, brother? Like, what was your major hype going into this update? And like you saw, because I was one who hosted the game, we decided to try and play Diablo, and when I brought him over, what did you see?
Well, I mean, I was really excited for it, and by the way, Ryan said that his computer went silent and he needs a minute.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But I was really excited for it, PlayStation fanboy, so I was keeping track of it, and the details were a little bit, not there, and so it was pretty much, up in the air type of stuff. And what it is for local two-player, which there was a lot of confusion as to what that was, and basically it's if you can play a game two-player locally, then you can do it, which for a lot of people, if you look through your game collection, this actually poses a bit of an issue, since majority of games out there nowadays are one-player only and two-player online. So that kind of limits how many games you could play with this feature. But what had happened was, as soon as the game was going on your end, I could see you running around, but then it was I could do nothing. And there was no prompts, there was no instructions as to what to do for all this. So it required a bunch of just random guessing, and finally was able to get on there, but even then it prompted that I wouldn't get trophies. So right there is another issue. It's okay, so bit of a rough start here, that we don't know what's going on with how to get, registered to play. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, no trophies. And then disconnected.
Yeah, what we actually did, if anybody is familiar with the game, we started off on the story mode, the first chapter, and we went down we fought the undead in Leah's like bar thing. We went out, and as soon as I started going up the map to kill the witches, it disconnected. It just kept disconnecting. And I mean, I get the feeling that it's probably because we have a lot of stuff going on with Sony. With the servers, we have Call of Duty. We have with the double XP. We got this major update, and I'm sure everybody and their cousin who has a PS4 is going, well, I want to check out the share play. So I get the feeling that the system or the servers were bogged down.
I still don't think that it should have been as big of an issue, considering that by now Sony should be a little bit more on the ball with the fact that there's going to be a lot of players throughout the day, especially Tuesdays. It is so naive to sit there and think, well, maybe there won't be as many players, considering that Tuesday is our big day that we always upload stuff on the servers and all the new games are released. Like, seriously, they should have saw that coming. And if that is even the case, but it was like, okay, all that aside, the game starts going, and
you said that the one thing that bothered you was the graphics, like it just really toned down.
What happened was the crisp, clear image that you see for Diablo that the game is recognized for, it was like watching a music video on YouTube at like 240p. You're
blotchy.
sitting there and you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and everything is blurry, and it's just like, what the hell is this? It's terrible. And I remember sitting there and I was shaking my head like, this is really unplayable. Like, I can't see what's going on. Like, I see you hitting stuff and there's obviously damage numbers popping up, but I'd have no idea what was popping up. Like, I couldn't see it. It was so blurry. But some of the other issues that come into mind was the fact that you can't save. There was no autosave. So if I play Diablo for 2 hours with you and we take a break and we end the game, unfortunately, I can't save. I'm going to be right back to level 1. So all the work I put into it was all for nothing. So it's kind of like, okay, well, where's the fun in that? So can't save, no trophies, shitty resolution. It's like, okay, you guys had a really awesome idea, but this is terrible execution. And it's just like, are you guys like pushing for this to be released to like compete with the market that's happening this fall? Because Sony really needs to start doing a little bit more testing with their software before they just release it. And I think
especially to much hype. And hold on, I think Ryan's coming back to us now.
Well, even I think all games are starting to hit this like curse where they just don't want to like run these games through like tests and to sit there and make sure everything is at least within reason of what they were put into the press. And I think that more than anything, that's what a lot of people are getting pissed about with a lot of games nowadays is, oh, well, here's our new game, but here's only like half the product, because now we're gonna have to release like all these 200, 700 megabyte downloads, and you have to run them through before you can even play the game because it's so bugged.
Right. It's almost like they found out, oh wait, we can actually release a game ahead of time and then just fix it later.
Yeah, and I do feel like we need to give it a week or two, and maybe it'll kind of work itself out, and it won't be so bogged down. That's what I'm hoping, anyways.
Here's the thing, though. Just in general, in my opinion, coming from having my PS3 for a couple of years, and you see the updates and the way that the XMB, the cross media bar interface worked, and everything. It was very fluid. It was consistent. You rarely ever got any kind of glitches or crashes or anything like that. Your messages came through. They would send. You didn't have any issues out of it. And then the PS4 comes along. Okay, it's better, substantially better in every way as far as hardware aspects is concerned, which makes sense. It's 8 years between the two systems, so of course it's going to be better. So hardware-wise, it should be able to handle more. But I feel like they flopped together this interface and just threw it on there, and it was something that they'd maybe put together within like a month before the release of the PlayStation 4. Like, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because something that's more powerful, obviously they can push harder, and they have that much more capability as far as what it can do, but it's fucking tripping over itself and falling by leaps and bounds in terms of stability and just normal day-to-day use and functionality, which isn't that big of a deal. Most of us, like myself, I'll start at my PlayStation 4 and I'll go right into a game, so I don't really have that much of an issue with the interface, apart from the fact that I don't like it as much as the PS3. But in terms of getting messages across or invitations, I'll have invitations that come through like 20 minutes later. Like, okay,
actually,
why am I just now getting this? What's the problem? So
now that you mentioned that, I don't know if you guys have still seen an issue with this one, but you guys have the different Sony products, but if somebody sends like a message or invitation on one system, doesn't seem to get through to the other ones. Like, if I'm on PS3, it'll look like you guys haven't even played in months.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that too. That there was somebody, I think it was you, before Borderlands came out. It had shown like you hadn't been on your system for like 2 months, and I'm like, okay, I know that ain't right at all.
Well, yeah, because like for a while I wasn't playing PS4 because of the fact that
You guys hear me?
Oh hey, yeah, hey,
Sorry about that, dudes.
there's the Ryan that I mentioned.
You had this fabulous intro, dude.
That
He
was
built
a
you
weird
up. He
thing.
was like,
like as soon as it started, all of a sudden, and then I spilled some of my dang apple juice. It's like a cacophony of bad.
Right?
we can't
right
even
after
see
Josh
you.
did this grand entrance for you,
Yeah,
and then you're
right.
like,
Like, yeah, I know. I'm like, hello. My apple juice spills. My cat runs away mischievously.
the shit was funny. Like, he had this giant build up, and it was like cricket, 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 cricket.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring back the cricket soundbite that I had to use before.
Awesome.
But yeah, dude, so we're talking about the PlayStation update.
Right on. Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, I like it. I think all the ideas of it are great. I don't get mad at Sony when it takes them a while for things, because this is all new. Like, it's not like you can't just do something this grandiose. Like, pretty much everything nowadays with technology. I mean, every day it seems like we're getting closer to time travel and hoverboards. So like, this whole thing with Sony, I expect there to be bumps and bruises before it's all leveled out. But all the things, I haven't got to mess with it. All I did was update it, and then like one of my kids yelled for me or something. I don't know. So it's been. I'll mess with it after I get off here with you guys and probably check it out and you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm a sucker for like background stuff. I used to do that with the 360, and I just
Well, let me disappoint you and tell you you can't set your own background. You have to use the ones that are preloaded in the theme.
Yep.
You can't set your own static background.
That's it. I'm going back to Xbox. Damn it.
Right. Right. I can't put a picture.
But you can have a shitty
there.
Destiny background.
Why is it gotta be shitty, Josh? Huh?
Because you can't read it. Honestly, like there's a Destiny theme that was on there already, and you download it for free and all that good jazz, and put it up, and you can't read anything. The text is so fine against this, very chaotic background of, enemies and explosions and gunfire or whatever the background is, and you can't distinguish the text because it's almost like reading white on white. It's just bad execution. It's like, okay, at least put like a black drop shadow behind all your letters. So
Or just I was gonna say make it bold and make the font a little bit bigger.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, and what you were going with, Bryant, you were talking about how Sony, you feel like you like everything about it, but the menus and stuff just seem like they kind of pulled it out of their ass, and it's funny because it does remind me, we were talking about with the Xbox One, the announcement that the price drop on it, and
Which is a great. I mean, it's a great maneuver for Microsoft right now.
well, they need something to push the system out, and
Yeah.
with Ryan was just telling us about how he was able to, or he would be able to trade in his 360 and walk out the door with the Xbox One for $250. And where I personally think that if you are really big into, if you had a 360 and an original Xbox and that's your thing, but by all means, that's an amazing deal. Better than right off the bat when people bought them and they were $500. Now, mind you, it doesn't come with a Kinect, and some people might not be crazy about that, but that's whatever. But $250 and you can get a system that can play a good majority of the games that are out there right now. There's very few exclusives, so I mean, I'm all about Sony, but if I were to be more into the Microsoft exclusive games, I love Halo, but it's not a justifiable reason to go buy the system, in my opinion.
Right.
So, but $350, $250, and let's just say, you don't have any of those systems. Like maybe you were in PlayStation 2 era, and I don't know, for some reason you skipped a generation, you just weren't into it. This is a good way to get back into it. It's fairly cheap, and
Yeah, unfortunately, while the system might be cheap, then comes the additional gameware for it, and it's like, well, the system might be cheap, but then when you're sitting there, you have to drop $60 per game. It's like, well, the system price was nothing, but when you're dropping all this money for all these fucking games, then that's when it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, extra games, controllers. I mean, yeah, that's where they really make the money.
Yeah. Well, what Bullhead said there was probably the best point too, because I mean, most of the time you want to try to pick a system that all your friends are on, and that for me, it just seems difficult to go with PS4. Will, your voice is changing.
I know.
It went back.
Must be Ebola.
It's in Oregon.
Don't have vomit or diarrhea on this podcast, please. No, the thing with the Xbox is, they made the obvious goof and wrong choices with these two systems. They could have been smarter about it, but they weren't. And now we, as PS4 owners, get to kind of. This last year has just been great. I mean, I had nothing bad to say about my PS4. It's been awesome. And
Well,
I used to be solely a 360 guy, so.
And not only that, but the next year is very promising.
Yes, of course. And my personal thing is I came from an indie standpoint. I've gotten really into indie games on Steam, and now I'm having a blast because granted, a lot of these games I liked, and like Rogue Legacy was one of my favorite games on Steam, and like instantly came out on the PS4, and Don't Starve, which is another great game, came out, and I know like Marty likes to say, oh well, that's great, I get to play games that came out last year, and I'm like, a lot of these games, the average guy didn't know about, and I feel like it's been great exposure for people who like indie games and indie developers, and it's been great exposure for people who I don't know, it's always been in my personality to root for the underdog, and I feel like they came out as the underdog, and then became victorious, and they haven't had to do very much other than just keep being awesome for about a year. I mean, they're not really making a lot of fuss like Microsoft did. They kind of put on a show, and then
They're just letting the product speak for itself at this point.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I think Microsoft is good in its own right, but it's been an interesting time. I mean, it's a great time to be into games, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And City.
And I'm with you right there, Ryan. Like, I am definitely into the indie games, more so than ever, I would say, too, because, a lot of people, you go on the forums and they bitch and complain, about the PlayStation Plus selections, and, it's, well, the Indie Station 4, and, I gotta say, dude, like, the games that I've been playing on there have actually been pretty decent. I mean, it's a nice change up instead of seeing, the games like Call of Duty, and really it's a never-ending cycle, because the people who bitch about those, these indie games, but they're the same ones. You go on a different topic and Call of Duty, blah blah blah, worst game ever, but then they complain about the indie games. Well, we're never going to get any other style of game or another kind of game unless you get those other companies the exposure, get them, of course, more money to make more games, and then, that way we're not, I don't know, it's so frustrating to me, and I don't understand why people would complain all the time about the both of them, and it's like, well, okay, so you're going to complain about the Call of Duty games, and then turn around and gripe and play them anyways, because like, there's nothing else to play.
Well, I mean, honestly, dude, just stay off the internet. It's
right. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done.
Right, of course, but
Yeah.
For the most part, no one's ever going to be happy about anything. There's always got to be one person who's like, I don't like popcorn. It's gross.
Popcorn tastes like popcorn. I hate it.
I hate butter and salt. It's delicious. There's just people that are going to complain no matter what.
Right.
Not only that, but negativity spreads like a cancer. So
that's true.
Even Bryce and my friend, our mutual friend Ashton, he had posted up about how a lot of people are complaining about strong female characters in the game, and and I saw a meme a while back that was like, in the 90s everybody was playing video games, everybody was having fun, and then in 2000s, like, a lot more people were starting to like nitpick with one another, and like, games were shitty but we still love them even though we hate them. And then it's like, nowadays nobody plays games, they just like to complain about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's true in some respects. I mean,
Well, I understand what I was talking about because of the fact that it's like, you know, I'm on Facebook all the time, and it's just like, you know, I see more people complaining about what's going on in the industry on you know, political side of things rather than, oh my God, I'm excited for this new game coming out. Like I couldn't tell you what anybody's excited for. Like
everyone's too busy talking about the Gamersgate thing, which, yeah, we're not even gonna touch that.
No,
I'm a gamer.
that's about the dumbest. I mean,
Yeah.
These are the byproducts of the first world, you know, mama's boy nerd problems. I mean,
Basically.
there's just a lot of that now. I don't know. I like Reddit and I hate Reddit, so it's kind of a love-hate thing. No matter where I go online, whether it's Metacritic or even IMDb, can be infuriating. So,
Hey.
but where I was gonna go with that is like, yeah, it does suck because like you go online and no matter what game it is, there's gonna be people that hate on it and they're gonna shit talk it. Even indies or AAA titles, there's always gonna be bad mouthing of it. So it's like, okay, well, I just won't look up anything for it. But if it's like an indie game, you're never gonna know anything about it because, let's face it, there's just no, like, there's no coverage for them. You go to like any of these game sites and unfortunately you'll read about the most random things like, oh, Assassin's Creed is going to have 1080p for the assassin shoes, and it's like, okay. What about these 10 indie games that came out? It's like, eh.
well,
it's like they take all the cover, they throw in like random as hell articles that have no point. Like there's no reason to have them on there, but it's like, hey, let's just post this on here. And it's like, you could fill that up with like actual coverage of a game,
right?
But they don't fucking care.
No,
like, you know, the second article on IGN right now. What do you think of tonight's Shield? Okay, it was a TV show. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
That episode deserves an award.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you scroll down just a little bit. Here's the reaction to Avengers 2 trailer. Okay.
I would say a big part of that has to do with anywhere you go. I mean, my homepage when I open up my computer is CNN.com. So whenever I open up my Explorer or my Safari or whatever, it automatically shows some big bold lettered thing, and it's like, you know, I mean, yesterday every single article I saw was like Ebola watch, Ebola fear, Ebola terror everywhere you look. An
Right.
interview with a man who thinks he might have Ebola. An interview with a person is so scared of Ebola that they're having panic attacks 24/7.
That they killed the man who thought he had Ebola.
Yeah, exactly. And then like
On
you look
air.
at it today and it's just like, you know, how big do you think Paris Hilton's tits are? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Did you see that video that was circulating? Like,
Everywhere. It's definitely like, you know, no matter where you go with.
It's what sells though. All they're trying
Yeah,
to do is create
negative
drama.
news is gonna sell, but in gaming case, you know, I'd love to hear more with gaming stuff, not the political sense of it. Like,
right.
Right.
I do know that there's a problem going on. I frown at the whole Gamergate thing. Like, seriously, like, why can't these nerds just sit there and just stick to playing Call of Duty and looking at porn? You know, I think I'd be making death threats. You know, back in our day, it was like, oh, my government teacher sucks. I'm gonna play Doom and I'm gonna pretend that dude right there is my government teacher, and boom, now you're
shoot,
dead.
I remember doing that for the original, well, not the original, but Grand Theft Auto 3. Like,
Right.
you just get in and be like, oh, these motherfuckers are the people from school I hate.
Right now, Brian's like, wait, what? I went to school with you.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, we were friends though. Good thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say he clearly did the same thing too, though. Come on.
Oh, I remember taking Unreal Tournament and taking back when people use like RAR files or whatever. It's like a zip file if you don't know what it is, but you can break it down into multiple pieces. And I took like 8 floppy disks and I broke Unreal Tournament down into like 8 different files back when people used floppies. And I brought them into school and I installed Unreal Tournament on the shared drive. So every computer I went to, no matter what class I was in, if I could get to that shared drive, I just played Unreal Tournament the whole class. And I had the whole computer lab at one point playing Unreal Tournament while the teacher was gone. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Those were the days.
I remember going on those computers and like they eventually found my file because like, dude, you have like tons and tons of gigs of like movies and like I had all these Nirvana music videos and like, oh yeah, you can't have that.
Nice.
You're like, I do what I want.
Bitch. But
Well, go ahead.
oh no, sorry, go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna say that was back when computers and everything was simple, you know, like you guys were saying, it was simple. You just killed somebody digitally and you got your kicks, but you could, crash networks simply. And obviously everything is more complicated. You know, it was, if you could go back now with the knowledge you have about video games and just computer technology, you'd be a freaking savant, or they'd think you were insane. One or the other. It could go both ways.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and then like with that, it's like, one of the greatest attributes of gaming is that it's like a simulator for escape, and I find it better than a cold beer some days because it'll be, I'll be able to just like, oh, this is so cool, like, and then focusing on the world of the game or whatever I'm playing, I'll, feel kind of a sense of balance, and where things can get frustrating in life. It can be kind of similar to exercise of the mind, at least.
Well, especially going to a game and you have a cool character. Like, for example, for me, it's Diablo 3. I could go in Diablo 3 and I'm going to feel cool because, okay, I got this character who's amazing with this crazy gear. And, like, you just, in the real world, like, yeah, you feel like a nobody. You could have a shitty day and, like, you go and, like, okay, you could all of a sudden play with other people and they look at you and they're like, dude, whoa, you're awesome. And, like, you're like, these are my people. I'm being acknowledged and people think I'm cool, and I mean, yeah, you get that sense of like, well, especially in that game, going around killing stuff, and you're like, okay, this is nice. It's calming in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But and
That's
speaking
the same
of
thing as boxing. I did boxing for a while, and you're basically pounding a fucking punching bag in real life as opposed to pounding something in a virtual world.
that's true.
Same difference.
That's true.
Well, that's why, like, when people ask me about the games I play, it's like, well, I try to play stuff that I can kick back and relax to. Like, I do want to play Dark Souls, but then it's just like, dude, I go to work and I get home. Last thing I'm gonna want to do is sit there and play a game that's like purposely trying to piss me off. It's like, why would somebody want to do this? I can't do it.
Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know a few people who are really into that game, and most of the time it's really all about the sense of reward they get from
Surviving for 5 minutes.
Right.
I'll get that feeling just by grinding on Borderlands and finding a good shotgun.
No, don't believe me. I side with you on that. I would much rather play Borderlands, but I know some self-mutilators out there that like to to go into that, but
Glutton for punishment.
right.
And yeah, and speaking of relaxing, after a long time, and I had mentioned it earlier, well, before we started recording, I saw an announcement today, and Ryan, I'm sure you've heard about this, and I'm sure you're probably going to have the same level of enthusiasm as I have, because I finally, after having this game sit on my shelf for, I don't know, a year or so, I finally decided to sit down and play the Telltale Walking Dead game. And Jesus Christ, I love that game. It was awesome.
Oh, did you finish it?
I did. I did. I had the Game of the Year edition, so I played through all 5 chapters and then the 400 days bonus chapter.
Wow.
And oh my God, that game was amazing.
Well, do you need like a hug or some warm soup or something? You probably need to
I need
cool it down.
I wouldn't mind a Snuggie, actually.
That's a rough game, man. There's some insanely, I mean, we talk about you know, a lot of times with other video game people, we like to talk about like most profound or affecting or emotional moments, and that game alone has some shotgun blasts to the heart.
Well, I feel like you would understand the whole, and it's because you're a dad. The scene with Duck just killed me. Oh my God, that was brutal.
Yeah, I can understand that, man. I thought the whole last 3 episodes of that were profoundly difficult to get through certain parts.
Absolutely. But going on that, and for the record, I cannot wait to play the 2nd season of that one.
It's good. I'm playing through it right now. It's really good.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Well, we also know that Telltale was making a Borderlands game, which, I mean, if it's anything like these other two, I mean, and it's the Borderlands universe, we know that's going to be awesome. However, they did announce that they're going to do a Game of Thrones game as well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, like, how the fan base will respond to that, because, you know, like, the Walking Dead one, it seemed like they were able to capture the audience that loved the show, and they were able to love the game, but...
Especially considering that there's no correlation. I mean, you have Glenn, who's at the very beginning of the game, but not for long.
One of the things I noticed, unfortunately, is that, like, the first one came out and it had quite an impact, but then it was like the 400 days and the 2nd season, definitely not even close to the same momentum. Like, I remember my Facebook newsfeed was just so full of it, and I'd go to all these game sites and they were just nonstop talk about it. But those, like, just that small expansion in the sequel, it's like, oh yeah, well, you know, it's out, I guess.
Well, in the 400 days one, that one is, I mean, I can understand why that wasn't a very big thing for people, considering, I mean, you have the 5 mini chapters in that, and each one only takes about, give or take, 15 to 20 minutes, and all it is kind of an introduction to the characters that are in season 2. But as far as season 2, I mean, the few people that I've talked to or have heard anything from said that they've enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that Telltale, like, they're onto something really cool, because I did like the game a lot because of the fact that you did have the zombie aspect. You have, you know, a little bit of action, but it was basically a choose your own adventure.
Well, here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you know, there was all this hype, all this excitement for that game, and it's just like, you know, one of the things that kind of pissed me off with it. Like hearing a lot of people's opinions about it was like, oh my god, why can't more games be like this? And it's like, wait, there is. It's called visual novels, and it's been around for quite a while. And it's like, unfortunately, you're just, you're so, limited to
Close-minded.
what.
Yeah.
Limited to what you're gonna sit there and try, unless it's like a really trendy name that's popping up. And it's like,
Right.
no, there's quite a few visual novels out there, like thousands of visual novels, and you get to do stuff like that. And there's a lot of them that have really crazy storylines, but because it's not,
A
Walking
popular
Dead,
universe.
the Walking Dead name tied
Yeah.
to it, people aren't going to know about it or even care to look at it.
Right.
But
I feel that even if it didn't have the Walking Dead name behind it, I mean, of course, not as many people would have found out about it, but
Yeah,
that was a
it
story that I enjoyed so much that, should it be you or Ryan or, Bryant, anybody who would have been like, hey, man, I've got this this game you got to check out, I would have played it and I still would have loved it all the same because of the amazing story that was presented. And graphically,
So
I
it's
did like it.
But
Like
yeah,
heavy
like
rain.
we were just saying though, that if that Walking Dead name was not tied to it, dude, it would not have gotten nearly the same publicity.
Oh, no.
Well, there's also the fact that most Walking Dead games or zombie games are kind of. I mean, I can't say that as a whole, but
yeah, they
most Walking Dead games at least sucked. And when this game came out, it was like,
yeah.
oh, it's probably just going to be, And the thing about Telltale is they did a Back to the Future game before this that I played, and
Is that the one that's on PSN?
It is, yes. Yep.
Oh,
They did a Back to the Future game before, and it was not that great. I thought it was, I love Back to the Future, so I kind of sought it out, and then I played the first episode, and I was like, this is good, it's just, I don't know if I really want to spend any time with this. And then when The Walking Dead came out, after playing the first episode and kind of seeing it play out where it's like a choose-your-own-adventure kind of feel, but like, obviously your choices are probably very limited in the grand scheme of thing because there's a storyline that's supposed to play out.
Right.
But the emotional impact of being there and making the decision and being the character and something that a game specifically that's very stressful as far as like the circumstances that are going on, it I played the game as they were coming out. So I'd heard a friend of mine talking about how Telltale was working on a new series of Walking Dead games, and I was like, well, Jurassic Park was one that they also did, but Back to the Future I'd played, and I was like, well, it kind of sounds shitty, but there's something about the comics, The Walking Dead, that I hope would kind of shine through a little bit. And being that I've read a lot of comics in the past, because I had all that fun time in the service.
there's sarcasm there.
Yeah. I gave it a chance, and I was really surprised. And then when I saw how many accolades it got, I mean, geez, you couldn't get away from that game for a while there. It was everywhere you looked.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, screw the Oscars, give it to The Walking Dead. Like, remember they had the Spike TV Awards, and I'm like, I don't know.
Hell, I think they're still, just the show is doing amazing because, so far this season, every episode's been like, knock your socks off awesome.
It has been, yeah. I was pretty impressed. Actually, I said that to my wife too. I was like, usually there's a couple of filler episodes before anything good happens, but
All right.
it's been pretty good this season for sure.
Yeah. Without giving any spoilers away, I definitely didn't expect them to do away with some of
Some of the stuff that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this past episode, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah, okay,
Now-
that just
now
happened.
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess we're going somewhere, doing something
I guess-
else. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I guess my entire which is good because last season it did kind of drag out a little bit. Which the backstory is great. It's good to have that character development, but then
it was almost too much sometimes.
Yeah, there comes a certain point where you're like, okay, I want some kind of forward movement. Let's not stay in the woods for half of a season and look for a little girl. Let's do something else instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like they probably have learned from that because I'm sure they're staying on top of the forums and seeing people go, okay, well this character wasn't even present in the comics, and we're gonna waste half a season looking for her. Like, you're gonna lose some of your people.
It's that obviously very important for any show to sit there and try to go online to see the feedback, see what people are saying on Facebook. If only these game developers would actually do the same, because
that's a good way to tie that all back in. What you just said. Sorry.
Can I say?
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna say the exact same thing.
I was thinking probably the same thing too.
Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out because, Bungie did that exact thing just recently with Destiny, and they're basically catering to the whiny-ass kids. Because, unfortunately, people who love the game speak out much less than the people who gripe and complain about the stupidest, most insignificant little things. And so the developers are left thinking, oh shit, our entire fan base wants this fixed. No, bro. We're not saying anything because we're happy with it. But then you go and fuck shit up. Excuse my language. You better put an R rating on this. By the way, you go and.
Dude, we're the only ones who listen to it, anyways.
Okay, good. Well, I'll listen to myself later, but they go and fuck everything up because they're just listening to.
You gotta quiet your monkey down, bro.
There's a chocobo somewhere.
And it's all because there's nothing but a bunch of kids, online spamming the forums saying, change it. And that's because they, we talked earlier about, these, self-entitled, wannabe A-listers that just.
Yeah, I see, I do understand, that stuff, but at the same time, there's going to be, the community that sits there and says, Capcom, seriously, we want Mega Man Legends 3.
And yeah, they just don't listen. And that's the thing that sucks is, there's so many games, that we've seen that just, they went to limbo for no reason. Where, they could have been dropped off in the PlayStation 1 era, PlayStation 2 era. Mega Man Legends, that's a series that I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything like, oh yeah, I didn't really care for it. And everybody loved it. And
that was a great game.
Oh hell yeah, it was. But they won't do anything for it. And I think that really, it's such a great time, to be able to throw ideas out there. And even if you don't want to spend the money to make the discs and distribute it out and stuff, that's the beauty of the PlayStation Network. They can make the game, put it on the PlayStation Network, and
would have to only.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm still surprised that we haven't seen games that I know of to date. We still don't have Mega Man Legends 1 or 2 on the PSN. And good God, if they put it on there, people will buy it. I would.
I would, yeah, for sure.
And that just kind of brings me up to kind of the next thing I kind of wanted to ask you guys. We're all four of us, we're all classic gamers. I think that's a fair assumption. And I'm just kind of curious what other games you guys feel have been kind of left by the wayside that you would think that they could bring back around and probably do a great job with.
Squaresoft's entire catalog from PS1.
Yeah.
There, it's pretty much everybody's pretty much everything from PS1.
Well, because you had, Parasite Eve. The first game was amazing, but the second one was kind of lacking. And wasn't there a third one?
There was, but it was for PSP, and it was, insanely ridiculous. It wasn't even worth playing.
Yeah.
I had bought it, I paid too much for it, well, even like $10 is too much for it.
Yeah.
And it was just like there was a fight in the game. You know how like in a lot of games that it'll want you to do some crazy, obscure, ridiculous button combo, and you just cannot do it for the life of anything. And you're just like, you know what? Screw this. I'm done. That's basically what this fight was. It was just like, get into this fight, and this monster's unbeatable. You have to run through this hall, get over to like this area where all of a sudden it's like, oh no, there's a force field around you. And it's like, okay. And it just so happens to be you and the monster inside that you can't kill, and you have to escape somehow. It's just like, okay. And it's like online, it says, oh, all you have to do is just do all this stuff and then do this button combination. I'm just like, you know what? No, I just want to play a game. I don't want to sit here and have to have, you know, these game facts pages loaded up.
You don't want to have Herman Lee from Dragon Force come in and hit a button combination like a guitar solo just to get out of a bubble.
Right. But I really do think that like the PS1 era of games, a lot of the games, not just for PS1, but like Sega Saturn and Nintendo 64, a lot of those games, if you just took those games and remade them, better graphics, and you might add just a little bit of content into the game, but if you just took those games and put them into today's systems, it would definitely like have quite a bit of sales. I know,
but the problem is they would be getting sales on nostalgia. I mean, if they were to just take that original game, like we'll just say Parasite Eve, they take it and they're like, oh well, yeah, we added something to the game and enhanced graphics. Now, I mean, that's kind of cool, I'll give it that, but personally speaking, I would like to see like a sequel of some sort to some of these games that, you know, and some of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're talking like games that need an addition to what they've had before, then yeah, there's definitely a lot that need one.
I mean, like with your idea with the enhanced graphics, like a remake. Like, a game that comes to mind for me that was super fun, and I could still play it to this day, would be Twisted Metal 2.
And well, yeah, I'd love to have a new Twisted Metal. It's just that, at the same time, I don't want it to have the same difficulty that was in the later games, where it's just like, seriously? This is just ridiculous.
Well, like, and the thing I liked about Twisted Metal 2 was it almost had a comedic feel to it. Like, at least it did to me. I don't know.
Right. And then there was one
semi-funny yet twisted.
Exactly.
One for PS3, but that was focused on Sweet Tooth, and it was a wreck. Did any of you guys play that?
Twisted Metal.
Oh yeah, I did. I mean,
I think yeah.
Yeah, where they all of a sudden, as Sweet Tooth, you can like go all Transformers and transform into like a fucking robot. It's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I have really good memories of Twisted Metal too. I used to play that with a buddy of mine after school when I first moved away from my mother's house to my dad's, and that's kind of how I made my first friend.
Like, hey man, you like Twisted Metal? Oh yeah, bro. Oh,
yeah, you don't like playing as Minion, do you? Because that's my character.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think I was always the bike guy.
Mr. Grimm.
Grim.
Well, and they had that one level where there was like all those buildings, like cityscape.
Yes, New York.
Yeah. And I used to like him because I could fly through that area pretty quick and then sneak up and fuck shit up. So, you know, I'd love to see a Twisted Metal reboot. It's definitely deserving of one. They need to get the right creative team on it. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see... I I know they're supposedly already doing it, but like the first Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VI,
Six.
Final Fantasy
Everything.
Yeah.
I'd love to see, you know, I can't think of I think it's Xenogears. The
Yes.
one-
Yes.
I remember.
Well,
you know,
and the thing with Xenogears,
Everybody wants that redone. So.
well, the problem is there's anybody who knows me knows I'm a rampant fan of that game. I love the shit out of that game.
Oh, yeah.
However, the thing is, if anybody who's played the game all the way through, that first disc is phenomenal, and I mean the whole game is. But the problem is when they were developing the game, a lot of you guys would know that once you get to the second disc, it becomes a lot of just a lot of text. You know, you have like the in-betweener like phase talking about, oh well, we went and did this and blah blah, and the reason why is because they were making this game, and then Square was like, oh well, yeah, dog, you got to finish this game like soon. Like
they had Final Fantasy going on.
Exactly. So they cut them off before they could really give us the full game, I think. And so with Xenogears, if they were to remake that, I would be all over it. But I would want them to change that and to give us what was the original full story of that game. And I mean, we did have the Xenosaga series for the PS2, which if they always said, well, it's not correlated, they're not the same, but really, no, they kind of are.
yeah.
So,
But still, I mean, I want to see more of the Xenogear cast, not Xenosaga.
oh
You know?
yeah, for yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I love like Cosmos and all them, but oh man, like Faye Falling Long was the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to grow my hair super long just to be badass, but unfortunately my hair didn't get that long and I'm not that skinny.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're kind of lacking some kung fu skills as well.
But and another game that I always loved, specifically the first one, was Brave Fencer Musashi.
Right.
Man, you're triggering some old deja vu, weird moments just saying that name.
Oh man,
That was a good game too.
It was
I completely forgot about that game.
I did too.
How can you forget about it? That game was
the commentary in that game was phenomenal. The storyline, it was like half the time it was like super comedic, but then the other time it was like it was serious, and it just
Right.
had that beautiful marriage of ridiculousness, fun, action. Like that game was perfect. And then when they did the Brave Fencer Musashi 2, that was all cell shaded, and that one it took a more serious tone to it, and I did play it and I beat it, and I remember I was like, okay, well yeah, this is good. Not like the first one good, but yeah, but
Right.
that was the charm of those early Square games. You know, you almost think of any game that they put out for the PlayStation 1, and it was like, man, that game was awesome. You also had Vagrant Stories. I know a lot of people would like to see a sequel to that.
Yeah. Vagrant Story, Valkyrie Profile. If anybody ever played that.
Oh yeah.
I had to play Topo's Groove Heaven while you're talking about it.
But I mean, and there's other fun games. Like the one thing that I always loved about the PlayStation 1 is you had some of those games that were just ridiculous. And nowadays they try to make everything so real that it kind of takes away some of the fun factor for me. Like I remember playing also Destruction Derby 2.
Yeah.
And you had the one where you had the bull, and it was cool because you drove down the hill, like you had this massive bull, and everyone drove down towards the middle, and there's this big ramp, right in the middle, and everyone hit it, and you would fly like 200 feet up in the air, and like it's just ridiculous. Or kind of like the Most Wanted game. Oh gosh, what was that? It was that other car game that you get chased by cops.
Need for Speed.
Yeah, Need for Speed. That's right. Need for Speed 3, I believe it was. Like, there was a certain amount of fun to that game because you had the ridiculous jumps or you like hit it and you do like these barrel rolls in the air, and I don't know, I kind of miss that stuff. You know, it's you know, now they have it's like all street racing, you know, it's flat land and
You know what game I would really like to see another one for is Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
Fucking Resident Evil with dinosaurs. I mean, seriously, that shit is ridiculous.
Yeah.
especially with today's graphics. I mean, they could get some crazy chocobos up in there.
Right? Yeah, I thought about that game being on newer systems, and it's just like, man, that would be awesome. Even like an actual, like, really well-designed Tony Hawk game wouldn't be that bad.
Well, and they did have the HD remake that's on the PSN, and I did get it, and I downloaded it, and it just doesn't have the same feel as the original PS1 did.
I think with the HD re-release of it, it's like by that time it was like everybody remembers hanging out with their buddies and be like, bro, man, check this out, I'm gonna do a grind, check that out, man. You know, it's like you played those games over the years, and then it was like by the time the ones came out for like PS3, you know, by then it was like all of your buddies had moved away or started having families. So it wasn't like, hey man, check out this grind. It was, hey, check out my, hey, sorry man, I gotta go. Kid is being cranky.
Yeah, I feel bad for my friends because that happens to me a lot. I'll be playing a game and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, all three of your kids just pooped themselves, and
Right?
Yeah.
so sorry.
Call me lucky or unlucky, but I'm yet to have any children, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's I don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but like you just have to kind of balance. And like the thing is, like, I feel like I appreciate games just as much, if not more, because when I get the time to actually play them, like, I really try to delve in, and like, it's not about hurrying through something as much as it is about just like enjoying it. So
Right.
What sucks though is that, you know, when you're limited for time to play your games though, and then it's just like you see the ones that you like, and then you got your friends that are like, oh man, check out this game, and they're, you know, hyping up a game, then it's just like, you know, you want to play the ones that you like, plus, you know, kind of get involved with the games that your friends are playing, and it's just like, man, I'm strapped for time. I can't do all this.
Well,
like,
not only time, but even cash, man. You have a kid. Kids are not cheap. So yeah, it sucks. Like you see, like this new game's coming out, and you're like, you kind of have to pick and choose, like, you know, every so often, like, okay, well, man, there's all these games coming out. Like, which one do I really want to get, and what can I afford? And then, you know, the other ones you're like, oh, I'm just gonna have to hold off for a little bit, and either just maybe someone will get it for me for Christmas or something.
right, video games are they're tricky. You definitely have to make sure you know what you want. Oh.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, just 'cause, yeah, that $60 price tag is so much.
What sucks though is that, okay, you have some people out there that they'll wait to play a lot of those games. You know, it's like, okay, well, I've never played this game, never heard of it before. I'm not gonna buy it at release. I'm gonna wait till it goes down in price. You know, and it's like you wait, you finally pick it up, and then you look at what was released when it first came out. It's like, oh, it had a deluxe special edition that came with all these cool things that you can't get anymore. Case in point, like, I was really pissed off that I had waited so long to play BioShock, and then when I finally played through them and I was looking at what was released back when they first came out, it was like, oh, there was a collector's edition, and it's like, oh yeah, it came with like these posters and shit like that. And it was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Just fucking punch me in the face now. But then
I
again,
missed it too. I missed it by a year, so I know what I kind of know what you're talking about. Like,
but what sucks is that, like, you know, you sit there and even right now, let's say you have somebody that went off and they bought Destiny, and they bought just the $60 game, you know, and after all this time, you know, all these weeks of playing it, this person is like so gung-ho on Destiny, they got the fucking tattoos for it, and they're looking at, you know, the super deluxe edition, you know, and it's just like, oh, I could have owned that, but instead I just got the standard edition because I didn't know any better.
But it goes the other way around as well. You could have been like super hyped about the game and bought the super deluxe edition and be like, yeah, and then turn around and all of a sudden like, oh well, this is not what I expected at all.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it really sucks when it comes to gaming, and it's just like, you know, you might be buying into something that you're really excited for, and that's, you know, a pile of poop. Or you could be buying the standard edition, and it's just like, I have just bought a piece of platinum, and I could have had the whole platinum. Damn it.
Well, and that's, I think that sometimes, you know, some of these companies that they put out these, you know, collector's editions, like you look at probably one of the finest collections I've seen was the Lightning Returns. You know, because you got that bomb watch and stuff. There was some pretty cool stuff that came in that collector's edition, but the game itself was kind of crap.
Hey, Will, what's the best collector's edition you've ever bought?
Probably Saints Row.
Well, the Saints Row one, it was cool, but then it's just like, when you look at the functionality of it, it's just like the Johnny Gat statue it came with. Okay, that's kind of cool. You can put it for display. But then it's just like, it comes with that dubstep gun. And it's just like, what the fuck am I really gonna do with this, you know? It just plays a bunch of annoying noise when you have the batteries in it. And it's a really cheap plastic gun. And then there's the destruct button, which is just a button you press and it doesn't even do anything. So it's kind of like, I don't know what to make of it, you know. It's just like, okay, well, so now I have this giant special edition that takes up too much space to fit anywhere, so what am I gonna do with it?
Yeah.
Try to think, because there wasn't too many special editions for PS1 and PS2 games. Special editions mainly have been in recent years. I do know that I did like the special edition I got for a game for PS2 called Magna Carta, because it did come with soundtrack, art book, and all this other crap. Huh?
Give me an art book and a soundtrack. That's like my favorite stuff. The statue and like you're saying, a gun, or even if it, I guess if it was a sword, if it was like legit, I might think about it. But like everything else is just kind of like
stab something.
Yeah. Or just hand it to my daughters and, you know, let them run around in the dark.
No, I feel like you guys, I mean, I think you all know this. I think that probably one of the best collections you could get in a game really kind of goes to the Lunar series.
Well, it all depends on the person. Like, I've seen, like, my friend, for instance, she's a big Tales fan. Tales of Symphonia, when that deluxe edition came out, it came with like 4 figurines, soundtrack, art book, making of, 2 games. It was ridiculous how much stuff was in that box. It was just like, god damn. But sadly, I didn't get the BioShock Infinite one, because when I saw Songbird, I didn't know his character. I was just like, okay, well, it's a giant bird. And I wanted to have the Big Daddy instead, because I was like, Big Daddy's cool. This bird will never be as awesome as that. Then, of course, I played the game, and it's just like, Songbird! You know, like, crying and being a giant sissy over it. But, yeah, then, and it's like, now that that figure is $80 and doesn't even come with the game. So it's just like, God damn it.
Yeah, well, that's the series right there. I mean, as far as games, like if I could look back and go, come on, spend the extra money, get the fucking Super Deluxe Megatron Ultimate. Yeah, I mean, it would totally be for all the BioShocks and Borderlands games I played.
Dude, okay. That's another one. With Borderlands, I knew I really loved the first one. The second one, I was like, okay, I'm a little pressed for money, so maybe I'll just get the sort of special edition, but not the super fancy one. And of course, it was like, I did have the money for it. It's just I didn't know how I would feel with the second one, and it was stupid because it was like, wait a minute. I should have realized I put 300 fucking hours into the first game, so clearly I should love the second one.
Right.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that
You know,
second one too.
I got the second one, and I passed up on getting that plastic loot chest that it came with.
Ooh.
Totally regretted it since. So yeah, it's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
other words, if you feel like you need it, just buy it and maybe feed your children grass for a couple of weeks or something.
Well, you know, let's be honest. You get those things, man. Like, you take a risk sometimes, and but there's times where you could get one of those collector's editions. You might be paying $100, but then you turn around and 3 or 4 weeks after the game comes out, if it sells out and it turns out to be a massive hit, those collector's editions go for a ton of money.
Right. Well, before Destiny even came out, people were selling their Ghost Edition for like 2 or 3 times what it was worth.
Yeah.
Just to have the little frickin' Peter Dinklage character model or whatever. That's all it came with, was a little character model of the Ghost, and that was it. That was that was the difference between that and the limited, which is what I bought, and that's just because I didn't want the paperweight, and that's what I consider it anyways. And yeah, I mean, I don't regret buying any limited edition. I actually regret getting rid of some of them. I used to have that same Lunar one that Josh is talking about, and I remember that it came with a medallion and everything, and it was like, I was so happy to have it, and couldn't tell you to this day why I sold it or who I sold it to. Probably GameStop or back then.
I can tell you exactly who he sold it to.
You?
Yeah, he sold it to me.
Yeah.
Man, that's a hell of a twist to have on
I
a
know.
There you go.
That's right there.
See?
podcast.
However, I might add, no, actually, I didn't sell it. I think my ex like threw it away or broke it, and if I remember correctly, because I did own Lunar 1 and Lunar 2. But yeah, no, like I had the first two, and then like I remember correctly, one of them, like my ex stepped on it and broke the disc, and then
to be, damn it.
yeah, oh man, I remember I was pissed because even at that time I knew like this game is hard to find, and it really wasn't until this past year that I finally got the games again. And like, yep, you got me Lunar 1 and my fiance got me Lunar 2, and I still have them. I have them displayed. I keep all the the bromides, I think they're called, are still in their plastic wrap. Like everything is all wrapped up.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've got the medallion out because that thing is, I love it.
Classic.
I love that medallion. So I keep everything in the boxes and I have them displayed. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna play those games again, but I just don't want to touch them because like they're kind of sacred to me. I loved that series.
Yeah.
So, and knowing that these games, like to try and find them in the stores, you know, you're gonna be paying a couple bucks, and especially these collector's editions with all the crap. I mean, you can get the discs easily enough on eBay for like 10-15 bucks, but these collector's editions,
Right.
the full set, you're looking at, you know, if you're lucky, you can find them in a place and they'll charge like what, 50 bucks, but for a PS1 game. and
Right.
but I've seen like Lunar 2 go up to $200-300. And to make it even crazier, there was actually I think it was Lunar 1, there was a super rare edition of the game that came with the Galleon hand puppet thing. That, like, you know, you could pull the strings and it would, like, fight, like it had the fists and stuff. If you have one of those in the games, I've seen that go up for like $600 or $700. But, you know, anybody who's played the series, I mean, yeah, you just have too much self-respect. Like, I'm never getting rid of these.
Yeah, I regret it. I remember when I saw that you got it on Facebook, I was like, son of a bitch. Bad motherfucker. Oh, yeah. But there will be a time. Maybe one day I'll come across a garage sale or your garage sale.
Oh man, I'm never getting rid of these ever. And I mean, I think to be fair, like they do have the Lunar 1 on PSN, but it's they redid the soundtrack and they like changed lyrics and changed words and made it easier and basically kind of.
That's a PSP edition though, so he would need to have PSP for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, all right, guys. Well, I suppose we should probably go ahead and probably walk away from this episode. Been going for quite a while, and more than likely someone's like, I don't want to listen to this. These guys are idiots. Especially that Bryant guy. Why the hell did he sell his Lunar 2? Idiot.
To the guy that's talking right now.
Kids, man, kids.
Yeah, no joke. So, Bryant, thank you for joining us again.
Awesome, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. And Ryan, we hope to have you back again sometime soon.
For sure, man. Well, let me know. And if you guys are like also listening to this, if anybody's into other video game podcasts, my podcast Game Genies is on iTunes and Stitcher. If anybody wants to listen to me babble on more, but you'll learn a lot more from these two gentlemen, Josh and Will. The good guys.
And you can get it all for just $9.99.
Wait, we're charging for this? Where's my money?
$999, by the way.
Oh man.
Right. We were gonna tell you eventually when we cashed out and broke down.
Hey, we saved $2 for you, dog. But yeah, I will put a link to Ryan's other podcast because he does Game Genies, and like I said, he also does Beer City Spaceship, which is kind of everything.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy buffet of bullshit. So.
Basically. Yeah, that's the beauty of it though, because you don't know what you're gonna listen to. It's just always different.
Yeah, that's kind of their beast, but I'm just along for the ride, so.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, then I guess I will talk to everyone later. And I'll get this up as soon as I can.
All right, man. Take care, guys.
See you
Later.